This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to jump back to Eternia to take a look at the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Man-at-Arms figure, the heroic Masters of Weapons from the cartoon collection. This figure started out as an Amazon exclusive figure, although I believe you can now pick him up at Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the box now. On the back of the box, we see Man-at-Arms using his stasis ray against a dragon, while Ram Man is sitting in the back under a pile of rubble. And we, of course, have the As Seen on the Dragon Invasion episode of the Filmation cartoon. Underneath, they have the whole modernizing the old toy line that is kind of silly because I think they'd be better off just giving us a description like Man-at-Arms blasts a dragon with his stasis ray, protecting Ram Man from attack, or something to that effect. We also get pictures of the other characters in this wave: the He-Man, most powerful man in the universe; Beast-Man, savage henchman; Man-at-Arms, heroic master of weapons; and Skeletor, evil lord of destruction. You know, if I'd really been paying attention to this before I started, I probably would have realized that this box was barely sealed down, and I might have been able to just pop it off without too much of an issue instead of having to cut it all the way around. Oh well, I'll have to pay attention more next time, I think. Looks like we once again had the comic somewhat glued under the plastic, or I guess sealed under the plastic. And of course, we have the informational sheet that shows all of his equipment, which he does have a lot of it that comes off, which is nice. So, Man at Arms comes with the comic Wizard's Vizard, which also originally came with Skeletor. I wonder if it'll also come with He-Man. Man at Arms is a strange case though, because he was like an Amazon exclusive, I want to say, because that was the only place I saw for you to order him originally. We open up our comic to the first page where Skeletor has found one of the masks of power. And you know, I was thinking about this because Beastman's comic also had the masks of power. But are they using the same mask? I don't think so, but if I remember correctly though from the show, one was a male and one was female. Anyway, Skeletor finds his masks of power, and this is apparently the second time he's had his hand on one because this time he was prepared for the possession. Although, now that we've read Beastman's comic, maybe he was prepared for the possession because he saw what happened to Beastman. So Skeletor takes control of the Mask of Power, and then he rides what appears to be a dragon back to Snake Mountain. Or I guess technically it's a wyvern. Anyway, Man-at-Arms gets together a bunch of Eternian soldiers and hands He-Man a little device that is supposed to allow him to teleport a couple of times before it runs out of power. So He-Man immediately uses that to travel to Snake Mountain because, you know, why not? And then we see Man-at-Arms going up against the Wyvern using a large version, I guess, of his stasis ray and not the one that actually comes with him. So they start shooting them and trying to defeat them, so to keep them at bay until He-Man can deal with Skeletor. But then Skeletor and He-Man start to fight, and Skeletor has a power sword. Because why not? I mean, this is based on the Filmation cartoon. I still don't understand why Skeletor comes with his own power sword in this case. But Skeletor actually uses his magic to zap He-Man and knock him off the edge of Snake Mountain. Or I should say, out of the mouth of Snake Mountain. And he laughs at him, "Poor fool, you never stood a chance." But He-Man then uses his power. or I should say, the device to teleport the Mask of Power far, far away because he doesn't have the only weapon that can be used to defeat, which is the Sword of Ancients. And without the Mask of Power, now the Wyvern no longer give a crap about Skeletor's thing, and they get really, really mad and start attacking Snake Mountain. Where Skeletor runs away and He-Man just lets him because, Filmation. And I'm not sure who's supposed to be saying this, but apparently somebody's asking about where they're going to feast that night. On the back of the package, we get He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, Beastman, the savage henchman, Man-at-Arms, the heroic master of weapons, and Skeletor, the evil lord of destruction. I don't know. Like, when I read this one for Skeletor, I wasn't a big fan of it either then. I'm still not a big fan of this story now. Kind of wish they'd go to the 12 page comics, or I guess technically 10-page comics, because, cover and back, rather than the 6-page ones. But let's go ahead and get Man-at-Arms out of his packaging. There were no straps at all on this one. I like it. If they could keep doing that with these things, that would be glorious. Man-at-Arms comes with his stasis ray, which... let's see. I don't know if you can see inside there, but it actually looks like there's a crack inside the mold. He comes with this giant mace, which does feel pretty solid. I'm trying to remember if Man-at-Arms mace in the cartoon was this big. I mean, I guess it probably was if they did it, but it just looks a bit oversized to me again. We, of course, have the Man-at-Arms figure. Let's see. I'm just going to say it. He looks a little bit too surprised. He just looks surprised to me. That sculpt's not too bad. The mustache looks fine. He's got some big old thick eyebrows. The helmet is a different shape than what we usually get, and I don't know if that is quite cartoon accurate with the helmet. It just to me it looks like it's a little too wide, but I could be wrong. Of course, they have rather than having the shin armor that we've seen previously with Man-at-Arms toys, because this is the Filmation version, they just have the armor as the orange boot top, and he's got his little brown feet. Articulation wise, the head is on the ball joint and can move all around like it usually does, and he can do this head bopping thing. The arm can raise up, and the joints are extremely tight on this figure right now, and can go down. He can drunkenly hit his face with his hand, poke out his eyeball with his thumb as we try to spin his arm around. We have the hinge at the elbow, and it can spin. Luckily, for the most part, his armor doesn't actually interfere with anything. We've got a spin on the hand, and we have the in and out articulation for the wrist. And this is the one part where it does feel like it kind of gets in the way with his shoulder armor. It is nice, though, that it is split between the two because of the link, and it does not move as poorly as the original version of Man-at-Arms does. I think if they redid the armor for Man-at-Arms this way, I think it would probably work out well. He's got a spin at the waist. He can kick up about that far. He can kick back very little. He can kick out pretty decently. The knee bends in half, a little bit more. Said the way it's designed, I think it does give us a better crunch than the knees on the regular Origins figures. We have the boot cut. I'm a little disturbed at how thin this plastic feels, this orange plastic, because it's almost somewhat transparent around the edges. Then, of course, we have the hinge at the foot and a spin because there's a peg down there too. The back of his harness is a solid piece and not just the straps, using two little holds there, which I know that's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with when it comes to removing it. He can fit his mace weapon just fine in his hand. But we also have the stasis ray, which we have to try that one out now. Because I wonder if it'll be much like Beastman's little levitation ray. So there we go. We got Man-at-Arms holding his stasis ray. Comparison-wise, we can actually bring out our Origins Man-at-Arms with mustache. Quick comparison of the maces. Definitely different sized. I do prefer the Origins mace to the Cartoon Collection one. Although at least this feels more solid than the weapons that are coming with the Turtles of Grayskull line. I want to say that his coloring, though, looks like it's much closer to the original vintage toy Man-at-Arms color than this one does. But like I said, whereupon he had like the leg armor and this armor here, which is connected with tabs and straps. This is all very solid and I think stays in place much, much better. The face does definitely remind me of the cartoon, but like I said, I think the helmet just doesn't quite look right to me. Not that that one does either, but still. Although I do like that he's got like the dark brown mustache and then the black eyebrows. Like I would have thought that you'd have them match because most people who have hair on their bodies, it's the same color everywhere until they get old enough to where they start going gray. But anyway, I think overall I like the Cartoon Collection Man-at-Arms a lot. I think it would have been nice though, like if not. I mean, for the Cartoon Collection, obviously we wouldn't do this, but I do think having this as a sculpted piece that was actually the leg, the boot, would have been much nicer for the Origins line. And of course, just for the heck of it, point out that once again with this line, because they don't give us gripping hands on both sides, you can't really hold the diamond ray of disappearance, the stasis ray. Overall, again, if you're collecting the Cartoon Collection, you'll probably be getting this Man-at-Arms if you were lucky enough to be able to order them. I know it was another one of those issues with Amazon trying to get them, but at least it wasn't a international package that I got. I'm afraid of that every time I order from Amazon now when I go for something that's Origins related because I want the comics and the information to actually have the information to read, you know? I don't mind if the wave has 4 figures and thus 4 comics. I don't mind if one of them ends up being a clean slate, but I still want the others to have text in it so I know what's going on. Because there's been a couple of those stories where I've gotten the international comic and I had no idea what was going on in them. So anyway, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you're collecting the Cartoon Collection, let me know. And if you were able to get your hands on a Man-at-Arms, I don't know at this time if he is still available on Amazon. Like I said, when he first released, If you were lucky, you got him in your cart and ordered right away. If you weren't, you lost out on the pre-order because distribution on a lot of the Masters of the Universe stuff, especially the cartoon collection, has just been a mess. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Give me a like if you liked it. Give me a not like if you didn't like it, or just ignore it if you didn't. Um, Peace and love.